Dr. Amartya Sen wrote in his latest book, Indian cities are like islands of California in the sea of sub-Saharan Africa. He was talking about infrastructure of cities, which comes under Indian economy portion for UPSC prelims and mains. We often tend to ignore the infrastructure part, which includes infrastructure of cities and villages. Today, I wish to talk about it using this statement given by Dr. Amartya Sen. He meant that a lopsided development is breaking up both cities as well as villages. Cities are becoming overcrowded where they look good on the outside like California, but they're facing issues on the inside like droughts and floods. On the other hand, villages are not able to provide even for their own residents, which is resulting in migration of people at large from the villages towards these cities. This is turning cities into ghettos where a small portion of the city looks posh and feels good, but majority of the city is living on the margins like a ghetto, devoid of any basic services like health, education, water, public transport, even basic housing. In order to see it for yourself, what you can do is move out of your house one day early in the morning and take a tour of your city. You will see a lot of people sleeping on the streets, which means good housing or even basic housing is missing for so many people in these cities. You go to any public washrooms and you will see tons of people lining up to even use basic services like washing their clothes or taking a bath before going to their offices. This means basic facility of private toilets is still missing in Indian cities. Go to any area and you will see tons of trucks lining up to provide water, fresh water to its people, which means piped water is still not available and people have to spend hours lining up for fresh water every day. Go to any hospital in the morning and you see so many people lining up for their turn just to see the doctor. Doctor services are still very poor and takes a lot of time for any person using free hospitals to visit and see a doctor. Go to any school and you will see students are running around like headless chickens because there is no teacher available or the teachers who are available are not interested in teaching. Try using any public bus and you will end up breaking some part of your body because of the rush that uses public buses in the morning. There are so little public transport services available and so many people who want to use them daily. Having understood the problems from a layman's perspective, let's look at some facts given by international bodies like UN, and then we will come to the major problems which are affecting these cities that you can write in your examination for UPSC. Here are some facts. According to the UN, in 2020, approximately 50% of urban households lived in slums. Around 700 million people right now live in cities. You can only imagine that 350 million people are living in slums right now in India. India's urban centers generate 60% of its GDP, which means the rural areas are not able to generate enough employment opportunities and thus enough GDP contribution to the economy. This is expected to reduce further with people running away from rural areas into cities in order to even get basic employment opportunities that are now unavailable in the rural areas apart from agriculture. Despite cities being so important, why is it that the cities are not growing properly, or we can say not developing to the extent that they should be given their importance in Indian GDP and population exposure of these cities? The first problem is historical, wherein Indian leaders and governments did not focus enough on the cities and laid too much focus on rural areas. This also came in from the constitution, which said that the soul of India lives in its villages, because of which the governments kept focusing upon the villages and ended up ignoring the cities. The cities are not properly governed because the governance structure is also not created properly. We'll talk about it very shortly. This brings us to the second problem, that is lack of autonomy and empowerment of municipal bodies. The municipal bodies in India are not manned by the right people in the right number and of the right quality. This means that people who are not trained well enough or who are not capable enough to run the cities are manning these cities, are running these cities. Also, the number of people that are required to run the cities is still not enough in India, because it has a deep impact on the pockets of the government, and the government is still not ready or willing to go through this process. China has, on the other hand, transformed its major cities like Beijing by converting the number of people who are manning and who are running these cities. 2 out of every 3 officers running any state government in China are running the municipalities. In India, this number is 1 in 8, which means that the quantity of people running these cities or trying to govern these cities are not enough. There is another major problem in governance, which is autonomy. Now, majority of these cities are either run by bureaucrats who are not elected but selected, or run by mayors who are partially elected. This automatically results in their autonomy being compromised, because they are accountable to the government and not the people. So, whatever policies they bring out are focused on satisfying the needs of the government at the state level or at the central level, but not people who are living or manning these cities either in slums or in posh areas. Another problem is association of slum dwellers either do not exist or they are not given any power. Slums are the heart of any city because they are the areas that run the city at the ground level. But the associations of slum dwellers are hardly recognized by the governments or by the mayors at that city level. Bhubaneswar is one city in Odisha that has recognized the associations of slum dwellers now. This results in original and actual problems of these slum dwellers coming to the center, rather than problems that people sitting in AC offices figuring out what should be the problem that these slum dwellers might be facing. Another unique problem is being faced by Indian cities, and that is expansion of cities even though the governance at the periphery is still managed by the Gram Panchayats. So, cities are expanding very fast, their peripheries are expanding because more and more people are coming into these cities, but these peripheral areas still come under the Gram Panchayats of different regions. This results in lopsided development in these peripheral areas, because at the center it is still the municipalities that is governing the city, but as the city expands, the governance moves towards Gram Panchayats. The municipality is unable to expand its governance, but the Gram Panchayats do not have enough funds or enough expertise to turn around these peripheral areas into cities. This results in these areas staying like villages, even though they should be a part of the city, because the people who are living here are working for the city and are living as if they are living in the city only. So, these are the basic infrastructure problems that the cities are facing. If you have to write an answer or explain in the interview of UPSC about infrastructure of urban areas, you can bring out these problems which are unique to India and which need to be resolved if we actually want to turn around our cities into smart cities. The central government has taken many steps like smart cities mission, etc., but what we need is empowerment at the local level. That means turn around of the municipalities from corrupt officials, from inefficient officials, to well trained and well authorized officials who are accountable to the people in those cities and not to any higher authority like the state governments or the central government. This kind of decentralized empowerment and accountability mechanism is the only way possible that can turn around these cities. I hope this issue is now clear to you and you will be able to write a good answer if this comes in your exam. I'll see you very soon. All the best. Take care. Bye bye. Jai Hind.